Good morning. Thank you, Pastor Mark, for the opportunity to share briefly with the people during this service. I'm not sure what you're planning after the lockdown is lifted, but for me, I'll have to go and find a barber to have a haircut.
Yeah, he doesn't trust me to cut it anymore. Like the old days.
I know God is doing something great in your life during this lockdown, and I'm reminded of the verse in Romans chapter 8, verse 28, which reads, "And we know that all things God works for good to those who love Him, who have been called according to His purposes." So God never makes a mistake, even during the lockdown. And for many of you, I know God has been using this time to bring a blessing, to use it as a blessing to others as well. What has been happening in our lives? Well, we've been busy with lots of cleaning up during this time. I've been able to clean out my shed, clean out some of the firewood where we keep the firewood. But above all, we've been able to do a lot of chopping up the firewood, and I'm very grateful for Ken, who has come along and given me a hand. And now it's all done, and we've been even able to deliver a few loads to some of the people that wanted some firewood. God in His mercy has allowed us this time that we can do lots of things that we otherwise wouldn't be able to do. For us, it has meant a lot more time to pray with Elspeth for our families and our friends, and for many of you in our community. And to be able to have time to talk to our families even more. And of course, during the Easter time, it was a special time to be able to share with our friends and to hear from our friends who are working in different parts of the world. One of the sad things for us was to also hear the news of our families who have suffered in Fiji during the hurricane. I got message from my family as well as pictures from the village where I grew up. Only 11 houses withstood the hurricane of about 200 plus kilometers of wind. The house that I often stayed in with my uncle, only the posts were left. Everything else was blown away. But the wonderful thing is that no one was killed in the hurricane. In our village, only one young man was hurt with some flying debris. And it's wonderful as we think of this lockdown. I'm reminded of the time that we lived in Thailand under martial law. And during the martial law, of course, the army were in charge, and everywhere we went, we had to make sure we took our ID so that people knew who we were. And I remember an instant where I used to go into the village to visit. Was told that I had to go in one road and come out another road, never come out the same road I went in. And the reason was that during that time there was a lot of bandits that were operating as well. After a few weeks, some of those bandits were caught, and they were telling the police officer they wanted to get hold of me, they wanted to capture me. But every time they saw me, they would see a lot of people riding their motorbikes with me. And I never went with anybody else except very few times when they had other Christians with me. And the police officer that was telling us a story, we told him, no, most of the time I was riding by myself. And it dawned on us that God has provided some amazing angels who rode bikes to go with me in those trips into the villages. So God protected us in those days in Thailand, and I know God is protecting us as well and providing for us in a special way during this lockdown period here in New Zealand. I trust that God is blessing you. I trust that God is providing for you, and we want to thank all the people who have provided so generously for us, doing our shopping and bringing things that we need here. We ask God for His blessing as we pray for all of you.